Hello and welcome back to the Emotional Gym. My name is James Hawes. I'm a psychotherapist and author of The Secret Lives of Men. Today, I would like us to talk a little bit about emotions and the body. I like the concept of emotions, that our emotions are in motion and that our body and our emotions are one. Many of us have great relationships with our bodies. Some of us don't have such good relationships with our bodies. Some of us may beat our bodies, work our bodies, build our bodies, diet our bodies, do all sorts of things to our bodies, but few of us may actually listen to our bodies. And if we're going to reconnect perhaps with our emotions, we need to do a lot of listening. Now, in lockdown, a lot of our external movements have been constricted. We are still able in the UK to exercise, go out on our bikes or walking as I do, and walking my dog and cycling sometimes. But we're doing that alone. And what we've lost is this together, like the team sports, the sports that we would be doing as a big groups. We would be having fun. We would be connecting with our bodies. There'd be physical contact. There would be competitive edges to that. There would be winning. There would be losing. There would be all the different things and aspects that go along with playing in those sports. There may be also, we may have been used to boxing or mixed martial arts or something like that, and again there's contact, and it's the real physical contact that we've lost. Some of us may not have been involved in sports. We may have been more passive consumers of sports. We may have been spending quite a few hours every week looking and watching sports from our living room, watching the TV, or we may have gone down to the local football ground or and rugby ground. And with all the ritual and beautiful things about that, there may have been the chanting, the singing together. There may have been the whole crowd surge as we witness the goal going in. There may be the hugging, the laughter, the joy, and all the rituals before and after those events. And they're all gone. So when they are gone, when those familiar things are gone, what do we do with our emotions? How do we move our body? How do we keep the emotions flowing from our body? Equally, sport may not be our thing, but we may have, of course, done a lot of off-screen entertainment. We may have enjoyed drinks down the pubs, going out to restaurants, dancing, and all other sorts of physical activities that we may have used to build and to move some of our emotions, to keep our emotions in emotion. Of course, some of those things aren't that healthy sometimes, but how are we allowing our emotions to flow when we have removed a lot of those external things from our lives, or they have been removed for us? So this is a really complex and difficult thing. And so somewhere along the line, how do we kind of be conscious of our body? And actually, in these days where we are a lot more restricted and constricted, how do we keep our emotions flowing and moving and in motion? So for this week in the gym, I'd like us to just think a lot more about some very basic, you could say, or practical things. So the toolbox this week is going to include things which are generally quite practical. So let me just list one or two of those things out. So one thing might be sleep hygiene. Have you kept a familiar, regular rhythm of sleep? Maybe if we're not doing so much stuff physically, we don't feel so tired. But keeping a regular sleep pattern is really important. Number two, diet. What are we eating? How are we eating? Are we still eating well? Or are we snacking a lot more? Three, what are we drinking? Are we keeping hydrated? Are we drinking more alcohol? Are we consuming more alcohol? And how is that impacting us? Four, What about keeping boundaries, especially as more of us are working from home now? What does that mean in terms of our work-life balance when everything is at home? Are we able to maintain some work boundaries and some pleasure boundaries? What about relationships? How are we keeping in contact with our friends? Are we keeping in contact with our friends? I know that it's kind of when all of our friendship stuff is now on screen, it can become pretty tiring. But I've tried to ring people, I've tried to keep that connection in some way. And of course, the people who we live with, if we are fortunate enough to live with people, how do we make and keep contact with them? What's our exercise routine? Are we enjoying regular exercise? Are we being able to kind of push our bodies and to move our bodies and to keep as healthy as we can? And lastly, what about our hobbies? Are we maintaining our hobbies? Now, some of us may have gardens. We may be able to explore in those gardens and keep busy and do certain things in there. But this may be a time where we're able to slow down and take on and learn new skills and new hobbies. I wish you well for this next week. I may indeed post another video by the end of this week, but have a go at some of those things. Just be watchful of yourself and keep exercising and moving your emotions. Thank you.